All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Growing Your Agency. I'm your host, Ryan Shank. Today, super excited. We have Uriah Hon, Lobster Marketing Group. Uriah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about Lobster Marketing Group, kind of services you guys provide. Yeah.
Awesome. So ultimately, we're a full-service marketing group at this point. So SEO is our big thing naturally, and custom websites from the ground up. So all the HTML and all. Naturally, we do all our print collateral design. So you name it, we can probably take care of it. But as far as Lobster goes, great story, really. Started in a basement a little over 8 years ago. With somebody that was in the industry that we primarily market for it. So we primarily focus on pest control across the country. And he was in pest control and realized that the marketing there just wasn't niche enough yet. Mm-hmm. And decided to take it from there. And here we are a handful of years later with a sister store in Dallas and many more employees than we started with. So
that's awesome. How big is your guys' team now?
So we have a little over 30 in the office that I'm located on the Maine coast. And then we have a sister store that has a little more than that in Dallas.
Oh, wow. And what's the makeup? Do you guys, is it, mostly sales, engineering people? Do you have the creatives in-house? What's the team makeup?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, in Dallas is all the software.
Okay.
So we were able to, by partnering with a software company and ourselves, we were both kind of acquired together to create a product that had yet to be offered. And so they work on the software end. On our end is going to be all the websites, the SEO, the actual marketing value of that product.
Interesting. So let's talk about, when you bring on a new client. So first, I'm curious to hear, how do you guys go after and acquire new clients today? What does that process look like? And kind of like, what's the hook, I guess, that you're using when you want to then go in for like a proposal potentially?
Sure. So to start, it's really simple. We've been really lucky and blessed to work with some of the bigger pest control companies across the country. Word of mouth ultimately got us to where we are now. Mm-hmm. And in fact, marketing for ourselves wasn't something that we had done up until the recent years. Ultimately, when the software company and ourselves were acquired together, that provided a giant portfolio of business. So we get to the product that we're able to offer, which is a very simple idea of purchasing pest control online, had never been offered before. As simple as that sounds, we were able to do that for the very first time. And so that pitch going into it is very simple. We can give that to you, nobody else can. Ideally, you have to work with Lobster, and Pest Routes would be our sister company. You would have to have that relationship together as a whole in order to achieve that buying pest control online.
So basically buying pest control services similar to like you would buy like an e-commerce, similarly like an e-commerce transaction, right?
Very much so. So in the past, the problem with pest control is it's all defined by routes that the service techs have to achieve throughout the day.
Yep.
Making a purchase and a scheduling online a bit intricate. And so we were able to combine that and correlate systems. And so we can book that and assign that to a certain route and a certain person and become pretty buttoned down with that sale.
Got it. And you have kind of like the algorithm behind, it'll like know where availability is based on the route of the tech.
Absolutely. It's going to take your address. It's going to associate it to a 20-mile radius. Mm-hmm. That technician's route is going to be included in there. It'll automatically assign them to a free time slot that they have. They give them a user a 2-hour time slot online. They pick that, and it's going to go ahead and give that to the tech to complete. And so ideally, the user themselves, the customer, they never have to speak with anybody. Much like a pair of shoes, you make the purchase, it shows up on your door. The technicians for these companies are going to do the same. And when they leave, your house will be treated, and you'll never see them.
Got it. All right. So you guys are working with pest control companies right now. Talk to me about your pricing model. Do you, is percentage of ad spend? Because you did say you're full service, or charging them for the build out. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so all depends. So we have multiple tiers of memberships. A premium membership, as we might call it, includes a custom build from the ground up. Mm-hmm. Most of the people that are going to be looking at that, bigger companies, over a couple million. and that's close to about 30,000, could be much more depending on what they'd like a year.
Mm-hmm.
We have options down to $100 a month for very simply just your base website. And we kind of go up from there, and we have some tiers, naturally including buy pest control online throughout that. But ultimately, if you were a full membership and you were paying a few thousand a month, you get a full custom design website, you get inbound marketing content, usually 4 pieces a month of blog posts, whatnot. We take care of all those. We write them, we would edit them, post them.
You guys using HubSpot for online or for the inbound marketing, or do you use like another CRM?
Yeah, so we have a proprietary CRM or CMS more so. So it's kind of built around us, located in Maine. So we have direct access to that architect. So we're fairly lucky that way.
Got it. Awesome. And then in terms, so you bring them on board, depending on the scope of services, it's either a couple thousand or whatever it is. If they're just, maybe it goes up from there. If they want to do the online booking or buy pest control online. And then as far as reporting, what is the cadence of reporting? What are like some of the KPIs that you're actually giving to the client? Do they care about, impressions and, things like that? Or do they only care about leads?
Yeah, so what we find on the customer end is lead is the focus, and how many leads and how much am I paying? And that's the biggest thing that everybody's really going to focus on. Naturally, yep. On our end, we're going to look at impressions. If we're looking at the paid side, click-through rates, we're looking at time on page, all the metrics naturally. Because we build those websites custom and from the ground up, we're constantly changing them, and we're compiling elements from other websites that are far different and seeing what works. But from a user side, it's leads and how much am I paying for them.
Got it. And do you find that most pest control leads are people filling out forms, people buying pest control online, phone calls? Like, what is the mix of conversion types, conversion actions that you see?
Implementing chat's been huge. What we've seen with chat is so to back up, phone calls are by far I would say 70% of leads. And installing chat cuts that in half, but makes up for them there. Yep. Forms kind of make up the rest, but ultimately we see the majority of our leads come through on the phone.
Got it. And then, so then you're forwarding those calls, directly to the clients. Do you ever like listen to the calls to sort of like guide the clients on like, hey, or even look at the metrics like, hey, you're missing 30% of the phone calls, or hey, I listened to this call and the customer said that they had to wait like, 2 minutes for you to like finally pick up, or an agent to finally pick up. Do you ever kind of like dive in and sort of like coach them on those sorts of things? Or is it like, hey, we delivered it, it's like kind of out of our hands?
Yeah. So backing up to when I first meet my client and they're new to me, I'm going to talk to them about how they want to be communicated with and what they want for investment out of me. What we found, some people don't want all of that. They like to do things the way they like to do it, and some are open to say, please share more knowledge with me. If they're open to that, the first thing I'm going to do after the first month is I'm going to listen to a majority of their calls. Realistically, with a lot of our companies, there's not a ton. You might end up with 100 or so. I'm going to listen to most of those and provide some feedback at that first reporting call. We're going to go over the website as well. So, we definitely do listen to them. We do find if discrepancies, they're great to be able to reference. If a customer says, one of my customers says, we're not sure how our CSR handled this. Can you help me out? We're going to provide honest feedback about what we hear. So,
got it. That's awesome. That's incredible. And then when you report to them, is it, weekly, monthly? Do you use a reporting tool? Maybe it's in-house, I'm assuming, but what does that like actually look like tactically?
Yeah. So, currently we're utilizing NinjaCat for our
okay,
reporting.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and that seems to work well with all the other data sources that we have naturally. And so, we're using NinjaCat. We're going to go ahead and send them a report every month.
Yep.
And we provide them with an open dashboard they can access at any time, and they can set their date range to reflect today or any day in the past. I'm going to send that report every month at the beginning of the next month, of course, and give them an opportunity to go over that. Now, it differs a little bit by your membership level. I spend more time actively with some members than I do others, of course. And then every 3 months, every half year, and every year we'll do overall reviews. But we're in there twice a month, and with the member themselves, the actual customer, every month.
So you have like set meetings out, I'm assuming hour-long calendar invites, boom, let's go over the report and every month, and then you have it, obviously getting sent out as well.
That's exactly it. So we, at this point, I prefer to, we'll automate it in the future when we need to. Fortunately, I have a big enough team to break up all of our accounts so that I can go ahead and manually pull them. And I like to send them with a little personal message. Something that I've found has attributed to some of our success is sending along a report and pointing out kind of the points of contention. What we found, these people have been in business a long time. They don't want a pat on the back, and they don't want to hear how good you've done. They want to know what's broken, and they want to know how you're going to fix it. And so diving in head first with that has seemed far more productive and created much more assurance and trust. And so that's kind of worked really well. So I like to send those manually after I've checked the data, and then with some times to go over it in the week.
Yeah, I think people also, what I'm hearing is that people kind of like, yeah, give me the data, but then also kind of give me a humanized summary of the data and sort of like recommendations. Like, don't make me as the client, pick out and kind of like dissect what it means versus saying like, here it is, and this is like, recommendations going forward. Awesome. So when you guys acquire new clients, how many people kind of get assigned to a client? And I'm guessing it kind of varies based on scope of services that they sort of subscribe to. But do you guys use any project management, Trello, Basecamps, anything like that to kind of like manage like the client?
Yeah, so Salesforce is going to be our big tool there. Salesforce has been the easiest way to combine two stores, two separate locations with a lot of people and a lot of accounts. Because ultimately we have hundreds of accounts that don't, on the other side, that don't necessarily utilize our service. And so we're able to cross-reference everything. Now, as far as people in-house, it's a lot. Ultimately, when we start, they're going to have that initial sales call with a salesman or somebody that can really provide the value of the product. After that's done, it goes to a whole implementation team. That's 15 people, and they're site sucking. They're pulling content. They're writing content. They're editing it. They're getting images ready. They're designing the site and branding that site, and they're loading that site up. Once it goes to then, it goes to proofreaders naturally. And then ultimately hits either my desk or one of my team members' desks, which would be the customer success. So that's going to be the person that they end up with holding that, they're responsible for that relationship, right? Building that relationship, holding on to that relationship. So they're going to have kind of one person ultimately at our group that they will work with to be an advocate for them within our business and towards them for our business.
Yep. Awesome. And then what would you say your, retention is for clients? Are you guys seeing high turnover or are you able to retain them pretty well?
Yeah. So, when our portfolio was gone over as part of the acquisition, we were 90% retention rate. So we do
That's great. Yeah,
really, really well. That's changing now because of the types of accounts we're appealing to. We can now offer something to everybody, and we really couldn't before. You kind of had to be somewhat set in stone out there and doing pretty well. Now we kind of have all sorts of memberships, which naturally does change that a bit, but we're still in the mid 80%.
Wow, that's great. That's awesome. All right, we're coming up on time here. One final question that I like to ask everyone is, what is your morning routine?
Yeah, so I will say it starts long before I get to work, and it starts at home with a cold shower. That's been huge. I read about that in Men's Health many years ago.
Love that, yeah.
I hate it every day, and but it makes all the difference. First thing I do is get to work and say hi to everybody. It's one thing out of many other offices I found was important. And though it might not have mattered for everybody, it mattered for some, and the ones who needed it really changed their day. And excuse me, and then it's to the coffee machine for a cup of coffee naturally, and down to emails. And so if I make it through my emails and kind of going back and forth with those members, then we start digging into those numbers, just randomly, just taking the accounts that aren't as good performing and just kind of just watching those a little closer. So
love that. That's awesome. And you guys are in Maine. You said that
yes,
the coast of Maine.
Coastal Maine. We're located in Ellsworth, Maine.
Ellsworth, awesome. I was up in Portland last summer on Little Diamond Island or Great Diamond Island.
Yeah, beautiful place.
So nice. So nice.
Check out MDI sometime. We're about 5 minutes from Acadia National Park.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, my family went there. All right, awesome. Uriah Hon, Lobster Marketing Group. Thank you so much for joining us on Growing Your Agency. And where can everyone find you?
Thanks, guys. So you can go ahead and find us, lobstermarketinggroup.com, and tell you everything you need to know.
All right, awesome. We'll link to you guys in the show notes. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Growing Your Agency.